from Studio 348 at Hoplock High School, it's The Arbor with Jeff Kramer and today's special guest, our principal, Mr. Cook.
And good morning, Hopog. Today is Friday, September 18th, and it will be cloudy with a high of 68 degrees. If you are taking the SAT during the school day on Wednesday, September 23rd, please report directly to the gym at 7:30. If you have testing accommodations, please report to room 266 at 7:30 to find your room assignment. See your counselor if you have any questions. Attention seniors, don't forget on Monday, this Monday, September 21st, is the senior breakfast. Don't forget. And ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure and honor today of having a guest in the studio with me. It is the one and only legendary man himself, Mr. Chris Cook. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
What's up, Jeff? How's it going?
I am pretty dandy. It's Friday, so. All right. So, this has obviously been an extremely challenging, very unusual time for everyone, everywhere. And obviously, you've had to oversee a whole operation unlike anything we've ever imagined before. So how do you think the first 2 weeks of school have been under these very strange circumstances?
Yeah, I'm terrible at remembering whose quotes are whose, but I remember lines pretty well. So there's this quote that's like, "What's better than having a really impossible challenge to have to overcome?" And I don't know who said that when, but it's just something that's been resonating with me a lot this summer, and then previously even into the spring about how to prepare for this year. And that's kind of the mindset I had as we went through the experience of kind of getting ready for this year. But in truth, I've been blown away by the teamwork and cooperation and collective energy that we've seen thus far to begin the year. On the whole, I think we're doing a really extraordinary job. Our students are doing an incredible job following the expectations that we've set forth. I think for the most part, they're excited to be here. On the way up this morning, I was walking past a couple classrooms, and I had teachers who had students who are virtual on their smartboard and students in the classroom, and just the engagement level was high on a Friday morning on day 12, and I'm just blown away. So on the whole, I think, of course, there's always things to improve, and I'm a person that always kind of wants to push the edge of improvement, so there'll be more to do, but on the whole, just blown away by everybody. And the other thing I will say, and I'll probably send a message out to teachers privately today, what they've done over these last 2 weeks, 2+ weeks, has just been extraordinary, and I think that just needs to be named again and again as we go through this.
Yeah, especially with the hybrid approach for teachers, it can be challenging.
Yeah.
Okay, so, with the whole staff in mind and everything that you've had to do to make this possible, how are you doing mentally? What's going on through your head as the principal of this pretty big school?
Yeah. That's a great question, and I should have thought about this question, Jeff, a little bit more. We, over the last dozen years or so, social emotional health in schools has become an important part of what people focus on, and I've been lucky to have this experience and other experiences where I've got to be at the helm of kind of orchestrating social emotional work. In that process, have learned a lot about myself, learned about the importance of kind of taking breaths, about how to keep perspective on the work, how to not let late hours of work kind of become the norm, and how to settle into a pace that I can maintain. This summer was certainly intense, so there were only just a couple days where I was able to take off this summer. My team was working around the clock, but I think we've done it in a way where each moment is manageable, and we've worked to kind of get to spaces where we can take a breath, recenter on what's going on, get in touch with kind of where we are and what are all the things that are pulling at us, and then make the right next move. My high school lacrosse coach always talked about just think about the next play, think about the next play. That, amongst some other philosophies that I've kind of adopted in my life, have been crucial in this time to just think about, all right, what's the right next move? I think that's actually an Oprah quote, which is like, always think about what's the right next move. And that's how we've kind of operated here, and that's been very helpful both for myself, but also I think in terms of our approach generally.
Okay. So going off of that, how do you plan on helping students and staff mentally through this challenging time who, because, the whole saying is we're all in this together and we're all going through the same thing. So how do you plan on helping them through this as well?
Yeah, so I think some of the plan was to get ahead of things to create a situation and a platform for which people can be successful and have breaths. So my experience in the past, last year was, I would wake up at, early, we'd jump on our first meeting by 7:30, and then like every half hour I was on a virtual meeting. So as we came into the spring and we're making decisions about the model, it was how do we slow down the day so that it doesn't feel like just everything is just happening to us and the day is so quick, and at the end of the day we're like, what just happened? Like, it's so crazy. So that was a big reason for the 70-minute block model, was to just slow everything down. That going slow, being patient with our work, certainly helps people mentally and emotionally kind of settle into spaces. And I think that's true for teachers. That's true for the people that support teachers in classrooms. That's true for the rest of the building because there's a longer block of time to get other things done. That's true for students as they settle in. That's true for students in the building, and potentially even more importantly, well, not more importantly, but just as a natural extension, important for the kids at home, who they're not doing 9 different Google Meets in a singular day, but they can settle into the work, they can settle into their space. So the model we adopted was part of that, going with more deliberate, slow transitions, the processes of up and down. While certainly that might have added to anxiety in the beginning, I think now we'll start to settle the building down. So a lot of the stuff we've done was proactive. Now we're in a space of kind of running some of our other systems that we've already had in place to monitor and support students as it comes. We have some other creative ideas that we're kicking around right now that we're thinking for October we'll start to move forward with. And maybe we can come back and talk about some of those things as we formalize them. But we're very committed to working with each student. I say this a lot, empowering them to tell their stories personally, emotionally, academically, and socially. Part of that is creating opportunities and then also offering guidance through various things that we do to help them grow. So the plan was addressing this, and now we're in it. We're going to have to do some more to kind of sort it out.
Sounds like there's a really good process for that.
Thanks.
So.
I appreciate the recognition of that.
Yes. So I know you kind of, you talked about it in the last question, but do you anticipate any changes in the future related to the, COVID-19 policies and restrictions in Hauppauge High School? And I know it's hard because you're really watching the news to see how many cases there are, stuff like that. But, do you see any changes in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, so philosophically, I don't like making structural changes mid-run on anything. So whenever, being a principal, you have to make a decision. If you need a rule change, when do you make it? How do you make it? What's the process? Do you make structural change? Same questions emerge. I like to do things at natural breaks. So quarter and semester breaks, would be the time to make any shifts. However, to our overall plan, I don't see that, happening urgently. There's some policy clarifications, and so there's some work around entry and exit routines that we're still sorting out. So I think at this point, our entry routine, first couple of days was probably like a C or C+, and I think we're up to like an A-level entry routine now, just smooth, right? So we made some adjustments, we got some more technology, we were able to do those things. But the impact didn't change, so what we asked parents to do didn't change. What we asked students to do didn't change a ton, and we were able to we made responses on our end. So that kind of stuff can happen quickly. Other kinds of stuff, schedule stuff, operational stuff, that shouldn't happen as quickly. Those transitions shouldn't happen as quickly. One other thing I'll mention, students with long blocks of time in the middle of the day, I sent out a clarifying message. This isn't an open campus, so it's kind of evolved where parents are calling in and saying, come in and let my child go home for a little bit, or if they're a senior, go out and they'll come back. So we're working to just clarify that that's not really a thing. So some of that stuff is like policy clarification. But long-term change, we'll try to be deliberate and intentional and clear with the community if any changes are made.
Right. Okay. So this last question, I know this is something that has definitely affected me personally, mentally, and I could definitely say that it probably affects a lot of students and staff in the high school. There being no clubs or activities right now, and this time of year, there's like a million stuff going on usually. So, a lot of people are really affected mentally by that, and so what is your feeling about when these clubs and activities can happen, and in what way, since really probably a majority of this building really wants it to happen?
Yeah, I think so aligned with my beliefs is that students need activity to be engaged with. This year, considering what we're doing, considering the scope of the region, considering the possibility of a longer-term shutdown, I think our emphasis on getting what happens from 7:30 to 2:15 right has been the core focus of everything that we're doing. We're day 12. It seems to be going fairly well. So now we'll start engaging with conversations around how do we maybe stagger the beginnings of certain programs? How do we integrate the programmatic beginning with whatever our plan ends up being related to sports? The sports world has been hard to kind of keep pace with too, because at first it was September 21st. Now it's January, but schools have some autonomy about what they do with the fall. So every one of those decisions that come, we could be a school that hastily just jumps into it and then hastily makes mistakes and hastily gets ourselves in a position where we can't do the 7:30 to 2:15 piece. We're trying to be deliberate in our approach to reintegrate clubs, to reintegrate, and maybe not all clubs, but some activity, reintegrate athletic opportunities for students in a really deliberate manner and a process-driven approach, so that we can check off 7:30 to 2:15, then intelligently go at the next piece, which would be check off activities for students is doing well without exposing ourselves and making ourselves more vulnerable to an outbreak. All that said, we know that at any moment this entire thing could get flipped upside down and we could be shut down, and then we're back to our virtual model again, which we already have a plan for, which is to sustain the plan as is. And I think we're getting a lot of practice right now. It wouldn't be difficult for our community from an operational perspective to have tomorrow, Monday. I'm not rooting for this, but if everybody was home on Monday, I think the high school could be pretty quickly up and running, which is a great testament to everybody involved.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Cook. This has been a very informative interview, and thank you very much, Hop Hog, and have a great weekend. Peace.